I would like to introduce a structural analogous of enol, that is enamines. Enamines are formed by the reaction of secondary amines with aldehydes or ketones, and the reaction is reversible reaction. For example, this is an enamine and it is actually pyrrolidine. It reacts with an aldehyde to give enamine, and this is a reversible reaction. So anytime enamine, the production of enamine could be reduced because it is a reversible reaction. So what do we used to do is, as per Le Chatelier principle, if you want to increase the amount of the product, if you could remove one of the product, that will enhance the rate of forward reaction. So we have to try to dehydrate the product getting formed, will give you more amount of products. So this is what we call enamines. This enamines, it just like the enols, will also act as nucleophiles in the same fashion how enolates is going to act. And because of this enamines, it can be, the enamines could be as a synthetic equivalent of enolates in many reactions. And if you wanted to use enamines, there are three important steps to be done with. First one is, the enamine has to be formated, it has to be formed. And second one is the reaction with electrophile in order to form an iminium salt. So the speciality of this enamine is, the enamine go for reaction, and through enamine, if you wanted to achieve some product, it has to be operated through the iminium salt, and the iminium salt may get stabilized, it may get rearranged to some more stable compounds. You could see when we discuss many related reactions. And the final step is the hydrolysis of the iminium salt to form the aldehydes or ketones. And some of the advantages of using an enamine over an enolate are, enamines are neutral, easier to prepare, and usually prevent the overreaction problems launched by the enolates. These reactions are generally known as Stokes enamine reactions, one of the reaction which is mentioned in the syllabus. After the Gilbert Stokes, by the scientist by name Gilbert Stokes of Columbia University, who originated the work. So this is what we call enamines, and this is what we call enolates. This both are, if you take, actually nucleophiles. Actually here what happens is, like, this pair of electron may come down and it may get localized over here, so that you will get a negative charge over here. That's why it is acting as a nucleophile. The same way, the pair of electron on the nitrogen atom can get delocalized, and this pair of electron can get localized, so that you get a negative charge on this carbon atom. So through this carbon atom, enamines can also act as a nucleophile. You can imagine, like, if you take this, the reaction may happen like this. This can be an enophile, like this OH, and this OH and this H may get eliminated in order to give this product. And generally used secondary amines are pyrrolidine, then this is called piperidine, and one more popularly used one is this one is called morpholine. These are the typical secondary amines that is used in enamine reactions. So the enamines is the reaction of a secondary amine with aldehydes or ketones that contain an alpha hydrogen atom that affords enamine. The process is driven to right by removing the water as it is formed, either by azeotropic distillation or with molecular sieves, because it is a reversible reaction. Similar to enolates derived from ketones, enamines react with acid chlorides to give imine derivative that could be hydrolyzed to beta diketones. It comes like this. So this is what imine, the third one. The enamines are operated through imines, and in case of unsymmetrical ketone, there are two options. Like for the formation of enamines, it could be right side or left side. So here there is an example. Here there are two enamines getting formed. Out of this, the most stable one is the less substituted enamine as the major product. And one of the most important enamine reaction, it is Stark enamine synthesis. Actually, enamine synthesis means it's only the alkylation of enamines. That's what we call Stark enamine synthesis. So the net reaction is the addition of ketone to alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl to produce 1,5-dicarbonyl compound as the end product. Enamines are specific enol equivalents to alkylate aldehydes and ketones. They are formed when aldehydes or ketones react with the secondary amines. So this is how the reaction happens. So what happens? The enamines are getting alkylated, and by hydrolysis we could remove the secondary amine part. The mechanism shows how they react with the alkylating agent to form a new carbon-carbon bond. That is the important point. So here you could see that it happens through three steps. The very first step is an enamine is getting formed. So that's what here you could see, the first step, enamine is getting formed. And the second step is it goes for alkylation. Enamine is going for alkylation by bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, that is SN2 alkylation. And the SN2 alkylation lead to the formation of iminium salt. Actually, iminium salt is the third compound. And once the third compound is formed, then the last step is it goes for hydrolysis and reform the carbonyl by hydrolysis. So actually this part, even the proton transfer is a part of hydrolysis. Then what happens is finally the compound will be getting formed. Alkylated product is getting formed. This is what about Stark enamine synthesis. So you could see that the reaction is, you could see first there is a ketone, and the last, if you look at the end product, you could see that the ketone is getting alkylated at the second position. So the Stark enamine alkylation involves the addition of an enamine to a methyl acceptor So recall that there is acceptor and donor. An acceptor is a double bonded compound which is attached with an electron withdrawing compound. So alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound, or another electrophilic alkylation reagent like RX, that is alkyl halide, to give an alkylated iminium product. So the Stork-enamine reaction is getting operated by a stable iminium product which is hydrolyzed by dilute aqueous acid to give the alkylated ketone or aldehyde. So there are few examples. This is one example. Here actually DMSO is used and pyrrolidinic acid is used. And the second example is this. These two are typical example for Stork-enamine reactions. Let's look into a second reaction where the enamines are involved. That is Mannich reaction. In Mannich reaction, it is a multi-component condensation of non-enolizable aldehyde like cyclohexanone, a primary or secondary amine, what we have seen till now, any secondary or primary amine, and an enolizable carbonyl compound. Enolizable carbonyl compound means it is a acceptor of methyl acceptor, affords amino-methylated product. So Mannich reaction is, you can say that it is a Michael addition reaction where the enamines are involved. So that it happens like this. You could see the first one is a secondary amine, the second one is non-enolizable aldehyde, and third one is enolizable aldehyde, and all those react and there is a condensation of a water molecule and you get a product that is amino-methylated product. This 3-component condensation reaction is useful for bonding aliphatic carbon to reactive positions of phenols, pyrols, and indols. For example, pyrrole reacts with formaldehyde and dimethylamine to give 2-dimethyl-amino-methylpyrrole. So this is how the reaction will be. So you could see formaldehyde is reactive with pyrrolidine and you got 2-dimethyl-amino-methylpyrrole. So let's look into the mechanism. So I said in the Stork-enamine synthesis, when the enamines are involved, the reaction operates through the iminium ion. In case of Mannich reaction also, the reaction mechanism is giving a lot of importance for iminium ion. The iminium derivative of the aldehyde is the acceptor in this reaction, methyl acceptor. Amines react with aldehydes in the presence of an acid to give an adduct that eliminates water to form electrophiles, and the acids also catalyzes the conversion of ketones into its enol tautomer. The enol then reacts with the electrophiles and the resulting adduct tautomerizes to the amine salt. The best example is the gramine can be readily converted into heteroxin by methylation followed by treatment of NCN and hydrolysis. So this is how it could be represented. So synthesis of heteroxin is an example of Mannich reaction. Next, again we can have a reaction that is Willsmeyer-Hack reaction. The reagents are entirely different, but surprisingly Willsmeyer-Hack reaction also going through the important iminium salt. Interestingly, Willsmeyer-Hack reaction is a substitute for Friedel-Crafts reaction. Friedel-Crafts reaction, you know that Friedel-Crafts alkylation is there and Friedel-Crafts acylation is there. This is a method of acylation, and Friedel-Crafts reaction happens for simple aromatic compound, and there are cases like heterocyclic compounds where the acylation is not that easy because the site is more reactive. In such cases, when the heterocycles are involved, we go for Willsmeyer-Hack reagent or Willsmeyer-Hack reaction. And Willsmeyer-Hack reaction provides an electrophile by the combination of NN-dimethyl-amides and POCl3. And especially, it is very important to note that in the absence of strong acid. So POCl3 provides all the facilities what is supposed to be availed by the presence of a strong acid. So you could see that in this reaction, the NN-dimethylamide, it is reacted with pyrrolidine in presence of POCl3, and it gave a product where acylation happened at the second position. And when we are explaining the Willsmeyer-Hack reaction, most of the time instead of this aromatic compounds are utilized. So aromatic compound anyway could be acylated by Friedel-Crafts reaction. So the importance of Willsmeyer-Hack reaction is the heterocycles could be acylated by using Willsmeyer-Hack reaction. So Willsmeyer-Hack reaction is a reaction of secondary amines with formic acid gives N-formylamines, which formulate aromatic compounds in the presence of phosphorus oxychloride. This is how it happens. And the speciality of this, the Willsmeyer-Hack reaction is heterocycles are also common substrate. Pyrrolidine and all could be used. The reaction can also be performed on alkene. The reaction is more efficient with aromatic ring having electron donating groups. Let's see the mechanism. Here in the first step, the amide reacts with the POCl3, which makes off the amide oxygen atom and replaces it with chlorine. This process would be very unfavorable, but for the formation of a strong PO bond, it is okay. And in the next step, the product from this first step is an iminium cation that reacts with aromatic compound to give a more stable iminium salt. The extra stability comes from the conjugation between the the aromatic compound, nitrogen of the aromatic compound, and the iminium group. And if you recall, Friedel-Crafts acylation or Friedel-Crafts alkylation, once it is alkylated or once it is acylated, the reaction mixture will have a lot of aluminum chloride, aluminum hydroxide, and the workup procedure in order to separate the pure acylated or alkylated compound, it is very difficult. Whereas here the workup procedure is very easy. It could be done with aqueous Na2CO3 that hydrolyzes the imine salt and removes any acid formed. And you can use a litmus paper and see that the reaction mixture is neutral, and it will give you the product get precipitated. This method is particularly useful because it works well with Me2NCHO, that is dimethyl formamide, to add a formyl group, that is CHO group. This is difficult to do with conventional Friedel-Crafts reaction. So I have an in-text question. Please draw the mechanism by taking pyrrole instead of this benzene ring. So instead of benzene ring, you have to use pyrrole. I meant like this, along with this 2 reactant, you have to take pyrrole. So these 3 are the reactant, and you have to go for Willsmeyer-Hack reaction and tell me what is the product along with the mechanism, and you have to discuss why in Willsmeyer-Hack reaction the second position is more preferred. Hope you understood. So the in-class question is this: instead of the aromatic compound in this mechanism, you have to take pyrrole and draw the mechanism, plus you have to explain why second position is preferred for the Willsmeyer-Hack reaction. So you can refer Claydon textbook, and it comes in the chapter furan and thiophene and oxygen and sulfur analogous of pyrrole. So there is a chapter for pyrroles. In that pyrrole only Willsmeyer-Hack reaction is discussed. So you have to refer that part. And the examples for Willsmeyer-Hack reaction, one is this. Another one is this. And interestingly, Willsmeyer-Hack reaction go well with, there are many reactions done for quinoline compounds. And the next reaction is Wittig-Horner reaction. How Wittig-Horner reaction is connected to Willsmeyer-Hack reaction, if you ask? Wittig-Horner also having an element which is special in Willsmeyer-Hack reaction, that is phosphorus. Wittig-Horner reaction is the reaction of aldehydes or ketones with the stabilized phosphorus iodide. If you recall, in one of the class we have discussed about the synthesis of carbanions, and we have discussed about Wittig reagent, Wittig reaction. So Wittig reaction is analogous, it's the mother reaction of Wittig-Horner reaction. So the reaction of the aldehydes and ketones or ketones with the stabilized phosphorus iodide, phosphonated carbanions, leads to olefin with excellent stereoselectivity, that E selectivity. So this is how the reaction could be represented. The mechanism of Wittig-Horner reaction could be represented like this. The stereochemistry is set by steric approach control, where the anti-periplanar approach of the carbanion to the carbon of the carbonyl group is favored when the smaller aldehyde hydrogen eclipses the bulky phosphoranyl moiety. So these 3 are the resonance structures. This is how the iodide is stabilized. This places, the phosphoranyl moiety eclipsed condition. This places the ester group syn to the aldehyde R group, but the incipient alkene assumes in E orientation of these group after the rotation to form an oxaphosphetane. As the lithium counterion does not interfere with the oxaphosphetane formation, use of butyl lithium is possible, but NaH, NaOMe are also suitable bases for forming the iodide. So it's all about the first step. The resulting phosphate byproduct is readily separated from the desired product by simply washing.